Excuse me, your name isn't on the seating list. The wedding coordinator said it softly, like she was apologizing for something that wasn't her fault. I laughed under my breath and leaned closer to the tablet. It has to be there, I said. I'm the bride's sister. She checked again, scrolling slowly, her eyebrows pulling together. I'm really sorry, she whispered. You've been assigned to a downstairs table. Downstairs. The word felt wrong, like a joke nobody finished telling. I followed the narrow staircase beside the kitchen and stepped into a dim basement with a single folding table and a few plastic chairs. No flowers. No name cards. Just the dull hum of pipes overhead and distant music from the reception above. That's when my parents appeared at the bottom of the stairs. My mother looked around the basement and smirked. Only close family gets a table upstairs, she said lightly. My father laughed beside her. That was the moment I should have understood everything. My name is Harper Whitmore, and that night was the moment my family made it clear I was never meant to belong. Before I could respond, another voice drifted down the stairs. Soft. Amused. My sister. She leaned over the railing, smiling in her wedding dress. Guess you don't count. My sister's laugh drifted down the stairwell like it belonged to someone who had already won. For a second, I just stood there, staring at the basement table they had decided was enough for me. Plastic chairs. Paper napkins. A place meant for caterers taking breaks. Not for the bride's sister. Upstairs the music swelled, muffled through the ceiling, followed by cheers and clinking glasses. The real celebration was happening right above my head. I slowly looked back at my parents. Neither of them seemed uncomfortable. My mother adjusted the pearl bracelet on her wrist. My father checked his phone like this entire moment was just a minor inconvenience. You're being dramatic if you make a scene, my mother added calmly. That sentence felt familiar. I'd heard it my entire life. Anytime I questioned anything. Anytime I pushed back. Don't make a scene, Harper. Upstairs, someone shouted my sister's name, and the crowd erupted again. She deserved the spotlight. She always had. But standing there in that basement, I realized something that changed everything. This wasn't a mistake. This was intentional. I looked down at the elegant gift box in my hands, the one everyone upstairs believed contained the most generous wedding present of the night. Then I heard heels descending the stairs again. My sister. And she was still smiling. My sister stepped into the basement slowly, lifting the edge of her wedding dress so it wouldn't touch the concrete floor. Even down there, she looked perfect. Hair flawless. Makeup glowing. The kind of bride people whispered about upstairs. She studied the table like it amused her. Cute setup, she said lightly. I didn't answer. Instead, I watched her carefully, noticing how relaxed she seemed. No guilt. No hesitation. Just the quiet confidence of someone who knew exactly what she was doing. You didn't have to come tonight, Harper, she added, folding her arms. No one forced you. That was the strange part. I had almost stayed home. But 2 weeks earlier, she had called me herself. Her voice sweet. Careful. Almost emotional. It wouldn't feel right if you weren't there. Standing in that basement now, I understood that sentence differently. It wasn't an invitation. It was a setup. You really brought the gift? She asked, nodding toward the box in my hands. Her tone changed slightly. Curious. Almost nervous. I tilted the package gently, watching her reaction. Yes, I said calmly. Of course I did. For the first time since she walked in, the playful expression on her face tightened. Because she knew something no one else upstairs knew. And if I walked out with that box, the wedding wouldn't just feel awkward. It would collapse. She stepped closer when I lifted the gift slightly, like gravity had suddenly changed. Harper, she said quietly, her voice losing that playful edge. Don't be dramatic. That word again. Dramatic. It was always their favorite label whenever I refused to accept humiliation politely. I looked at the white ribbon wrapped around the box, remembering the night I finished preparing it. Hours spent making sure everything inside was perfect. Thoughtful. Generous. Exactly what a sister should give. Upstairs, the band started a new song and applause thundered through the ceiling. My sister glanced toward the stairs nervously. Everyone's waiting, she muttered. For you, I replied. Silence stretched between us. She folded her arms again, trying to reclaim the control she always carried like a crown. You're really going to leave over a seating arrangement? I met her eyes. This wasn't about a chair, I said calmly. She didn't respond, because she knew I was right. This was about years of quiet decisions, quiet exclusions, quiet reminders of where I stood in the family hierarchy. I turned the gift slowly in my hands. Her eyes followed it instantly. That was when I saw it. Fear. Real fear. And the moment I stepped toward the staircase, her voice cracked. Harper, wait. Her hand closed around my wrist before I could reach the stairs. Harper, don't do this. Her grip was tight, desperate in a way I had never seen before. The confident bride who had laughed minutes earlier was suddenly gone. I looked down at her fingers wrapped around my arm. You seem worried, I said quietly. Her eyes flicked toward the gift again. Just leave it, she whispered. You already brought it. Leave it. The irony almost made me laugh. For years, I had been leaving things behind for her. Opportunities. Praise. Attention. Every moment our parents chose her comfort over my dignity. But tonight, she needed something from me. And she hated it. Funny, I said calmly. You didn't seem to care whether I stayed or left 5 minutes ago. That was a joke, she insisted quickly. A joke. The basement. The smirks. The giggling. All a joke. From upstairs, someone shouted her name again. Guests were getting impatient. My sister leaned closer, lowering her voice. Just put the box down and go home. No one needs to know anything. That sentence told me everything. Because she wasn't worried about hurting me. She was terrified about what would happen if the guests discovered what I had actually brought. I gently pulled my wrist free. Then I started climbing the stairs. And behind me, my sister whispered something that froze the air. Harper, you promised. I paused halfway up the stairs when she said that. You promised. The words floated up the narrow stairwell like they still carried power over me. For most of my life, they had. I turned slowly and looked down at her standing in the basement, clutching the railing with both hands. The perfect bride now looked like someone watching a disaster approach in slow motion. I promised to help you, I said calmly. Her shoulders relaxed for half a second. Then I finished the sentence. I didn't promise to let you humiliate me. Her expression hardened. Harper, don't ruin my wedding, she hissed. Ruin. That word felt strange coming from her. Upstairs, the reception hall was glowing with warm lights and laughter when I stepped through the door. Crystal glasses clinked. Music played. Guests smiled politely as I walked past them holding the large white box. They had no idea what was happening. At the center of the room, my parents sat proudly at the family table beside the groom's relatives. My mother noticed me first. Her smile faltered. Harper, she said sharply. Dozens of heads began turning. I walked calmly to the center of the dance floor where the wedding gifts had been stacked. Then I placed my box directly on top. Behind me, I heard my sister burst through the doors. And she was running. The room quieted as the bride pushed through the crowd. Guests laughed nervously at first, assuming it was some playful moment in the reception. But my sister wasn't smiling anymore. She looked terrified. Harper, she said breathlessly, grabbing my arm again. We'll talk about this later. Later. That word had always meant never. I gently removed her hand and stepped back so everyone could see both of us standing beside the mountain of wedding gifts. The room had grown silent now. Even the band had stopped playing. My father stood from his chair, his voice sharp with warning. Harper, this is not the time. My mother gave me the same tight smile she always used when she wanted problems to disappear quietly. But the guests were watching. And curiosity spreads faster than music at weddings. My sister leaned closer, whispering urgently through clenched teeth. You said you'd help me keep it quiet. That sentence carried farther than she intended. Several guests exchanged confused looks. The groom's mother frowned. Keep what quiet? Someone asked from the crowd. My sister froze. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the basement. The smirks. The laughter. I reached for the ribbon on the box. My sister grabbed my sleeve again, panic spilling into her voice. Harper, please. But it was already too late. My fingers pulled the ribbon loose. The white bows slipped away and fell softly onto the polished floor. My sister's breathing turned shallow beside me. "Harper, don't," she whispered again. But the guests were already leaning forward, curiosity burning across the room like quiet electricity. I lifted the lid slowly. Inside the box was no jewelry, no envelope of money, no elegant gift, just a thick folder. My sister knew that folder. Her hands began shaking. I picked it up and turned toward the crowd. "My sister asked me for help 2 months ago," I said calmly. "She needed someone to cover a problem before the wedding." Whispers moved through the guests. The groom stared at me, confused. "What problem?" he asked. I opened the folder. Inside were printed messages, hotel reservations, and photos that left nothing to interpretation. Not between strangers. Between my sister and the groom's best man. Gasps rippled across the room. The groom's face drained of color. My sister grabbed my arm again, tears finally breaking through her makeup. "Harper, please." But the damage was already done. The groom slowly stepped back from her. And for the first time that night, the entire room saw exactly why I had been seated in the basement. Because secrets prefer darkness. But truth doesn't stay buried.